Have you ever seen the movie Drive? In case you haven't, let me summarize it for you. Dreamy boy drives car and murders dudes to a kick-ass synthesizer soundtrack. Respectively, Hotline Miami is. Pixely boy drives pixel car and murders pixel dudes to a kick-ass synthesizer soundtrack, presented from a top-down floor plan perspective. In fact, so many cues are taken from that movie that I made a theory about how the game came to be. One day, artist Dennis Whedon came over to programmer Jonathan Soderstrom's house so they could watch the movie Drive together. After that, they both took LSD and decided to break out the NES and play some classic Legend of Zelda. In their drug-induced days, they started spray painting the walls, and what came out of that were the first concept images for Hotline Miami. The reason I say this is because the entire game plays like an acid trip to Never Never Land, if you get my drift. The main menu screen looks like some kind of Russian Sega Genesis ROM hack UI collided with a poster of GTA Vice City. The gameplay drifts between action sequences and kinda but not really playable cutscenes showing only the floor plan of the building, the player, and his car. The rest of the screen is this weird purple haze thing that... just screw describing it. Let's talk story. The game takes place in the cliché 80s Miami, where varsity jackets are still in fashion, all the gangsters wear white pastel suits, people dump cocaine in their cornflakes instead of milk, and saying the phrase, "say hello to my little friend," actually gets you girls in clubs. You play as a dude. Look, we never find out his name, okay? Dude is receiving strange messages on his phone's answering machine, which give him an address to drive to. Upon reaching that address, he proceeds to viciously murder everyone in the building. The more clever ones among you may have figured out that in this game you play the role of a psychopathic serial killer. The problem here is that all your enemies are armed assassins that kill you in one hit, so you'll die. You'll die a lot. A lot. But the game itself seems to know that, so at the very instant you die, you'll get a flashy "press R to restart" prompt on your screen, upon which you'll start the level again. This entirely erases the frustration of a game over and lets the game be as insane as it wants to. Hotline Miami really nails the thrill of adrenaline rush gameplay. Planning a tactic before entering a level is pointless, as the game forces you to act on instinct most of the time. As such, it is also a viable alternative to coffee in the mornings. Central features of the gameplay include a variety of weapons, such as knives, pipes, shurikens, katanas, etc. Oh, and guns if you're the boring kind of psycho killer. And also a variety of animal masks worn by the player that improve his abilities. Each mask has a name of its own, and the main character doesn't, so it's implied that not only is the main character a schizophrenic lunatic, but he also has multiple personality disorder. Yeah, he's pretty messed up in the head. What adds to the gameplay is also the soundtrack, which could be described as 80s synthesizer electro Daft Punk-esque, and is pretty damn sweet to boot. The music begins when you start each level, continues throughout your restarts, and stops the minute the last enemy gets disemboweled by you, leaving you staring at a torn-down house piled with mangled corpses. Have I mentioned this game is exceedingly violent? Even though the art style is all pixely, it's pretty obvious what you're doing, and at times it is not easy to watch. While this follows in the spirit of Drive, here we don't have the benefit of watching Ryan Gosling and Bryan Cranston explain the plot. In Hotline, we're forced to create it piece by piece based on cutscenes, something which gets increasingly difficult due to the fact that your character steadily becomes more and more insane, and his drug-induced kill crazes start fusing with his dreams until it all becomes a big mess, leading to the final boss fight, which explains nothing. Okay, fine, maybe I'm being a little harsh, and then again, maybe you should totally forget about the story and just focus on the dumb fun that is the gameplay. Overall, come for the craziness of the gameplay, and try to stay for a unique look into an insane man's head, but don't linger, or you'll die and have to restart the level. The video game. The video. Whatever.